Hello everyone, let's start with another section B question, which is Racquetz Company. Racquetz Company is based in the country of Eastland and country, makes and sells rackets for children for sports, different sports, badminton, tennis and squash. The company has recently been trying to forecast expected sales and the cost of the next 3 years. Is for 2001, sales demand for 2001 is expected to be in the ratio of 4:2:1 for badminton, tennis and squash rackets respectively. The following the following budgeted information is available: sales price, variable cost. At the end of 2001, Racquetz Company will stop making squash rackets. The Tennis Association Foundation, funded partly by the government, is planning an investment in the sports in order to encourage more children to take up tennis. This funding will lead to an increased number of children's tennis facility being available in 2002 and a corresponding rise in the sale of tennis rackets. The sales volume ratio for the year is expected to be 3:5 for badminton and tennis rackets, and the weighted average contribution to sale is 52.21%. Racket Company has budgeted to sell badminton racket for 22 per unit and tennis racket for 32. Fixed cost are expected to be 6,04,750 for the year. And then the information for 2003 has been given, and there is one profit volume graph chart for 2003. Let's jump on to the question first. The first question it is asking is calculate the forecast weighted average contribution to sales ratio for Racquetz Company. Okay, so for 2001, the information which was given was over here. Over here we had this sales ratio 4:2:1. We had this selling price and variable cost, and we will have to first find out what is the contribution. So let's find out the contribution first. So let us start with the first part, and wherein we'll have to first calculate the contribution. We were given, because we need to calculate the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. So what was the selling price? It was 21, 30 and 24 for badminton, tennis and squash, and the variable cost were this. So you can easily subtract selling price from the variable cost for badminton, tennis and squash, and you will get contribution. So let us first calculate the contribution. And the contribution was for badminton, I'm writing short form, tennis, squash, selling price, so this is selling price 21, 30 and 24, and we have variable cost, that is 11, 15 and 16. So the contribution is 10, 15, 8. Now we have the contribution. The ratio given in the question was 4:2:1. So we need to find the contribution mix as well. Contribution mix, for that we need to have the sales ratio, and then we will have the contribution mix. So the ratio was 4:2:1. Similarly, we'll have we'll total this up. Now the total of this is 78. So the total of contribution mix is 78, and similarly we'll have the sales mix as well. and the sales mix is 21 into 4, 84, 2 into 30 is 60, and then 24, and so the sum is 84 plus 60 plus 24, that is 168. So the contribution to sales ratio is 78 divided by 168, which is 0.4643. So if you will convert this into percentage, it will come out to be 46.43%. Now let's see what are the options given. The options which are given was okay, so my answer would be D over here, because this is the nearest one. Yes, so this is the nearest one. And now in 2002, assuming that the rackets are sold in a constant sales mix. Now what do you mean by constant sale mix? When they are saying that we need to find the when they have given us this constant sales mix, okay, so then that means that whatever answer we will calculate, because over here it is saying assuming the rackets are sold in a constant sale mix based on the budgeted sales volume ratio and what is the sales revenue. So it is asking us to calculate the sales revenue, which will be calculated based on the weighted average of the contribution to sales ratio. But I think that ratio is already given in the question for 2002. Let's read the 2002 content once again. The Tennis Association Foundation, funded partly by the government, is planning an investment in the sports in order to encourage more children to take up tennis. This funding will lead to an increased number of children's tennis facility being available in 2002, a corresponding rise in the sales of tennis racket. The sales volume ratio is okay, the sales volume ratio is also given, and the weighted average contribution to sale is already given, so we do not need to find out. So this is already given in the question, which is 52.21%. Now we have this selling price of racket, and we have selling price of tennis rackets as well, but right now they are not that much relevant. First of all, we need to find out what are the break even, what is the break even revenue. But for break even revenue, we can calculate we can calculate the break even revenue, because we have the fixed cost over here and we have the sale contribution to sales ratio as well. So for 2, let's calculate the break even revenue first, and for break even revenue we have the fixed cost, which is 604,750, which will be divided by 52.21%, and we can get the break even revenue 604,750, 52.21%, and the break even revenue is 1158,303. Now this is the total break even revenue, and then we will have to bifurcate this among the bifurcate this revenue among what? Among badminton and tennis. But in which ratio? We'll have to divide them in the ratio of 3:5. But before that, we need to go back to the question. The question clearly mentioned the constant sales mix. Constant sales mix. This is a very important thing over here, because it is not this means that we will not have to divide the revenue based on the ratio given. We will have to divide the revenue based on the constant sales mix. Now for that, we'll have to calculate the constant sale mix. What is that? See, the sales selling price so I'll calculate this over here. So for badminton and tennis, the selling price which was given to us was over here, and that was 22 and 32. Was this the selling price or what? Racket has budgeted to sale request for 22 per unit, and this. Okay, got it. So the selling price is 22 and 32, and the ratio which was given to us was 3:5, so it is 3:5, and the sales mix would be 66, 32 into 5, which is 160, and the total of this is, we have to bifurcate the revenue based on the constant sales mix. So this is the sales mix which we are getting for badminton. The revenue would be 1158,303 into 66 upon 226, which is 338,265. And for tennis, it is 1158,303 into 160 upon 226. So this is the sales revenue for badminton and tennis. So what will be the answer over here? We'll choose the first option, A. Now in 2002, assuming that the rackets are sold in a constant sales mix and the budgeted sales volume ratio, constant sales mix based on the budgeted sales volume ratio, what is the total sales revenue needs to achieve the profit of, okay, we have been given a target profit of 4,50,800 and fixed cost we already have, and now it is asking us to calculate the total revenue. Now we have the sales mix, right, constant sales mix, but we need for target revenue, what do we need to find? We need to have the contribution to sales ratio. We need to have the contribution to sales ratio. So in 2002 we already had the contribution to sales ratio, that was 52.21. That was 52.21. So for part 3, if I need to find out the target revenue would be fixed cost plus target profit, the whole upon contribution to sales ratio. Okay, so fixed cost is what we have, we had already been given this fixed cost in the question, which was 6,04,750, and now the target profit it is asking us to achieve is 4,50,800. And again the contribution to sales ratio was given to us, so we do not need to do anything else. Okay, so this is my answer, which is D. Lot of you might confuse that why didn't we, is it asking for 2002 or 2003? It is clearly mentioned that it is asking for 2002. Let me repeat it again. Assuming that the rackets are sold in a constant sales mix based on the budgeted sales volume ratio, what is the total sales revenue of Racquetz company? Total sales revenue it is asking us to find. Now this ratio was 52.21, but that was only for racket, that was only for badminton and tennis. Okay, in 2002 you can say, but this is only for badminton and tennis, then what about squash, and how can you just assume that 52.21 is the entire contribution to sales ratio for the entire Racquetz company. So we can read this out again. What about what happened for squash then? Because over here it is clearly mentioned that in the end of 2001, Racquetz company had stopped making squash rackets. Since it has stopped making squash racket, and in 2002, Racquetz company was only making badminton and tennis. The squash rackets were not being produced in 2002. Therefore, the weighted average contribution to sales ratio, that was 52.21, becomes the weighted average contribution to sales ratio for the entire company. Got it? Then we have the fourth part of the question. Fourth part of the question says, based on the volume profit graph for 2003, which of the following statements are true? Contribution to sales of a badminton racket is higher. Now, contribution to sales ratio for badminton racket is higher than the tennis racket. We can see that first over here in this graph, tennis racket has been plotted. So we plot first the graph of that product which is generating highest contribution. So the highest contribution is being generated by tennis racket, and therefore this first statement is incorrect. Then we have, if the rackets are sold in a constant mix, the break-even revenue is 1.3 million. Over here we can see the break-even revenue is this dotted line which is getting intersected at the revenue line over here at this point, and this is 1.3 million. Hence the second statement is true. The total contribution for 2003 is approximately 7,40,000. No, the total contribution is not 7,40,000. This is incorrect. And now it is asking us that the fixed cost is approximately 6 lakh, which is correct. We have started our graph from here, and this is minus 6 lakh because initially there were no revenue and the only cost was the fixed cost, and hence because the fixed cost was 600k, the revenue turned out to be negative 600k. So your fixed cost is 6 lakh. So the option is 2 and 4. So the correct answer is B. Now for fifth is, which of the following fact about Racquetz company means that the use of CPP analysis is limited for planning and decision making? Racquetz company will give discounts on sales prices at badminton world champion event. No, it cannot give, because in CVP analysis this sales price remains constant. Every 6 months, the tennis and the badminton rackets are redesigned and given a new model name. What is the question? Which of the following facts about Racquetz company mean that the use of CVP analysis is limited for planning and decision? Okay. Let's read the third option. And all the cost are either fixed or variable, and there are no semi variable. I think that every 6 months a tennis and badminton rackets are designed and given a new model name. So yeah, I think let me just read out the entire question once again. It is saying which are limited. What are limited? Okay, so I said that this statement is incorrect. This statement is incorrect. That means we need to select this option, because the question is saying that the CVP analysis, which of the following facts about Racquetz company means that the use of CVP analysis is limited. So in case of CVP analysis, we do not put discount in the selling price. We assume that the selling price is constant throughout all the level of activities, and so this point is limited to the scope of CVP analysis, and this will be selected. Now every 6 months tennis and racket company are redesigned and given a new model name. This will not impact CVP analysis, and hence this will also be limited, and this is limited. So the correct answer is 1 and 2, C only. In statement 2, the CVP analysis assume that variable cost per racket are same at all the levels of output. So as the rackets are improved, the variable cost of rackets are likely to change, and economies of scale may also be achieved. Okay. So in this case, it is saying that every 6 months the tennis and badminton racket are reassigned and given a new model name. You can only change your new model name, or you can just redesign after every 6 months, assuming that the variable cost would not be changed and they would remain constant. But that is not in the case of CVP analysis. In case of CVP analysis, your variable cost keeps on changing, and that is how you achieve the economies of scale. So hence 2 is also limited.